Stand up for what you believe in. First, do you know what you believe in? Do you have any values, any higher values that you look up to? What do you believe in? If you don't know what you believe in first, how can you stand up? How can you stand up for what you believe in? Do you believe in yourself? Have you ever stood up for yourself? I used to be kind of a doormat. I don't know about you. I used to be a doormat. I just let people walk all over me. I was spineless. I had no backbone. People would walk all over me because I never stood up for myself. I never took a firm stance about anything because I never wanted any conflict. And this is, wow, I'm already getting very passionate, very deep about this, but this is something that I've been holding back for a while. I've never really stood up for what I believed in. Maybe it's because I've never really believed in anything as strongly as I do now about this conscious money school, about teaching people about financial literacy, teaching people about consciousness, doing it through comedy, doing it through entertainment to try to engage people and teach them better than the school system did. Because I've realized that one thing that I truly believe in is I believe that I can help change the education system. Maybe it's through the outside in. I don't think it'll be through the inside out, but by showing people or by showing the education system that if I create a brand of education that is entertaining, that people will watch on social media, that people will watch for fun, that maybe it'll show the schools, yeah, we should be teaching this financial literacy stuff in school. Kids are actually interested in this stuff. It's something that they can learn in middle school or high school or even elementary school, and it doesn't have to be boring to learn about. It can actually be fun. That's one of the things that I believe in. Another thing that I believe in is that people should be taught about consciousness. Oh gosh, people should be taught about meditation. People should be taught about mental health and emotional intelligence and self-awareness and introspection and all this stuff. Why is this stuff not being taught in school? These are the things that I want to stand up for. Stand up for what you believe in. And understand that it took me a while to understand what I believe in. When I was in college, my freshman year, this was when it all started to come together as my ego and everything started to crumble underneath. Let me explain what that means. When I was freshman year of college, I didn't have any beliefs really. I didn't have anything that I strongly believed in. I didn't have anything that anchored me or grounded me. I was always looking around for external validation, and through a lot of things that happened, I started going through mental health issues, depression, and anxiety. And after this whole journey of about a year of going through one of the worst periods of my life, absolute terror, being in the abyss, starting to do a lot of self-help and personal development practices and a little spirituality, a little meditation, some yoga, reading books, I started to ascend. I started to climb out of this abyss and not be depressed anymore to ultimately find self-love. And through this journey, I started to realize that there is such a large stigma around mental health. There is such a large stigma, and something that held me back from speaking up and seeking help was that I didn't think other people would understand because people don't talk freely about mental health. So that was one of the first things that I believed in. I believed that I can at least do my part in speaking up about mental health and sharing my story and sharing what happened to me 4 years ago, so that if somebody is going through that right now, basically talking to my past self, if somebody is going through that right now, I can share my story. I can share what it's like on the other side of the abyss and share what I did, some practices that really helped me, because I tried to go to a therapist and there weren't any spots left for the remainder of the school year. So I kind of felt all alone. I kind of felt betrayed, but I realized that I could take my power back into my own hands. Not everybody has the same mentality. Not everybody has the same point of view. That was what happened to me because of the unique situation that I was in, and it worked out for me. But I realized that if we could start talking about this mental health stuff in middle school, if we could start teaching emotional intelligence in middle school, that would be an absolute game changer. If we could even just start teaching meditation in kindergarten, oh my gosh, society would probably be way more evolved, way more advanced, technologically, spiritually, morally, ethically, everything, just by people meditating starting in kindergarten. We would be our consciousness would be raised far more. So these are some of the things that I believed in. I didn't get to these beliefs overnight. These are things that happened to me after quote unquote traumatic experiences and learning very deep lessons about myself and why I'm here. So I started Wolftelligence based on that. I started writing poetry books based on my experience going through mental health and the lessons that I learned and teaching emotional intelligence and sharing some spiritual lessons, reading a lot of books. And these are the things that really inspired me on my path. These are the things that really inspired me on my journey to help form my belief system. And now I don't stay too rigid in my belief system, but when I found that one or two or three anchor things that I believe in, those are the things that I'm really willing to stand up for. And it really came down to the final thing was teaching financial literacy. Again, that's another thing that why didn't I learn that in elementary school? Why didn't I learn that in middle school? Why didn't I learn that in high school? Why didn't I even learn that in college? And as an accounting major, I'm in a unique position that I can have a little bit of credibility in teaching this stuff, but also teaching it not through the lens of a teacher, teaching it through the lens of a student, somebody who was just there, and teaching it through the lens of an entertainer, maybe even a comedian, if I learn how to be a little funnier, through entertainment. And I realized that teaching and education doesn't have to be boring. We only have this belief that teaching and education has to be boring because that's the way it was when we were growing up. Maybe that's just because the way the system is. The system doesn't emphasize making teaching entertaining, but that's the results that it's getting. And also, the curriculum itself needs to be changed. But I realize that it's so much bureaucracy and the government and all this stuff is involved, and the government funds the schools and they decide what the schools are going to teach, and it's different for every single school. It's just so exhausting to think about that. There's something as simple as every single high school kid should learn how to do their taxes, and that's just one small part of financial literacy. Most people, when they get to college, don't even understand how taxes work. And I was blessed enough to take some tax classes in college. Don't recommend that. You don't want to do that. But I was blessed enough to take these tax classes in college, and I realized, wow, this stuff is so complicated on purpose. It's so complicated for no reason, and it seems like taxes are complicated. This is a whole different rant, but it seems like taxes are complicated to, one, help rich people not pay them, help rich people avoid them, and two, create an industry where it's complex. You have to pay people to do your taxes. It really makes absolutely no sense to me. It's absolutely mind-boggling, but these are some of the things that I believe in. Some of the things that I'm willing to stand up for and share my opinion and share my voice is teaching financial literacy, teaching wisdom. I really just want to teach other people wisdom, teach other people life lessons, and that some people will think, well, you're a little too young. It doesn't really matter about your age. It matters about your experience. It matters about how much you've worked on yourself, not just about how many books you've read. I can share all the books that I've read, but that's just regurgitating information. I have to be able to synthesize that information, meditate, do yoga, do these practices, do personal development, be disciplined, stick to my own path, do my own work, do my own business, share what I've learned from Conscious Money School about the impact that I've had, and then be able to build a platform about something that I truly believe in, something that I am willing to stand up for, even if somebody criticizes it. Because I started posting some shorts for the Conscious Money School channel. If you want to check that out, if you're watching this video and you want to check that out, that's another YouTube channel that I have. Just type in Conscious Money School. I started posting shorts for that and got around 180,000 views, and it was awesome. But I also received some very nice comments, some very loving comments, great videos. This channel will be very big. That was awesome. But I also received some hate comments. You suck, you're ugly, gross beard, all that stuff. I do kind of have a gross beard, but I realized that if you're standing up for what you believe in, you're going to get haters. That's just the reality of it. Why haters exist? I don't know. That's a whole new story for a whole new day. But if you're standing up for what you believe in, there's a 99% chance that there's going to be somebody on the other side of the aisle that's going to be standing up for the exact opposite of what you believe in. They're going to think that you're wrong and attack you. You're going to think they're wrong, but if you're doing it right, if you're doing it out of love, you're not going to attack them. You're going to see how hurt they are. You're going to see how hurt they are inside. This is kind of all where it came down to at the end, that I see these people commenting on my videos, commenting some hate comments, and when I was going through depression, when I was going through anxiety, I was the type of person where I kept it all to myself. I was a very shy, soft-spoken, introverted person. I was feeling so terribly about myself. I couldn't ever imagine lashing out at somebody else and trying to make them feel as badly as I felt. But I realized that not everybody's the same. Some people take that anger, take that hatred and depression that they're feeling about themselves, and they try to project it out to other people. So, and that also goes back to the 4 agreements, don't take anything personally, but when you realize that if anybody's sharing hate at you, it's just about themselves. It's just, if you truly love yourself, you would never spread hate. You would never lash out angrily at somebody else. It would just be comical to you. The idea of hate would just seem futile. Futile? I don't know if that's even a real word, but have something that you believe in. It makes life worth living. Have something positive and loving that you believe in. It doesn't have to be the same things that I believe in. These have to be things that you strongly believe in your core. Not something that somebody else told you was important. Something that through whatever unique life experience that you've had that's been different from other people, you've picked up these grains and these gems of wisdom on the way, on the path. Something that you've realized that, yes, this is something that I'm willing to stand up for. I'm willing to be ridiculed because of my beliefs, because of my opinions on this one situation. Maybe 2, maybe 3, but I would say that if you have a strong belief, keep that to a couple of things. Keep that to a couple of main values. So for me, this main values could be knowledge, wisdom, truth, love. I know these are very abstract notions, but again, I shared the ways that which I'm specifically doing it, which is through teaching financial education on certain social media platforms through comedy and through consciousness. That's one way. Making these videos, teaching these lessons. Another way is through this channel, the R.E. Leonard. I'm not really sure exactly what it is yet, but it's basically going to turn into a type of spiral dynamic stage yellow comedy or spiritual self-help personal development comedy. I'm not really sure there's that much out there, so I think there's definitely a lot of things that I can make funny, and I could also just make fun of myself, which is always good. But that's what I believe in. That's what I'm willing to stand up for, even though I'm sitting down while making this video. That is something that I'm willing to stand up for. What are you willing to stand up for? Tell me.